Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
When you say he's never been there your whole life, meaning from when you were born?
Since I've been born, yeah.
Right now before this court, you are a sad excuse for a father.
The whole purpose behind law is to right wrong. I want justice to be something that isn't this foreign concept.
Justice knows no boundaries. The truth will be heard. Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Plaintiff Vanessa Ramos is suing her estranged father in the amount of $7,800 after she claims he agreed to pay half the rent on an apartment and then reneged. Defendant James Ramos says the plaintiff is only after his money and has no intentions of mending their damaged relationship. Is this daughter due some dough, or is she just disrespecting her dad?
Your Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. All right, this case involves a daughter suing her own father. Ms. Ramos, I understand you are suing Mr. Ramos here in the amount of $7,800 for monies that you feel you're entitled to for your apartment. Is that correct, ma'am?
That is correct.
Why are you suing your dad, ma'am?
He's actually my estranged father, and I am suing him because he agreed to pay half of the rent for an apartment I couldn't afford, and he never came through on his part of the deal and left me paying for it.
Is that completely true?
Hold on, sir. You're not happy with your dad.
Yes.
Tell me why you're not happy with your dad.
He's never been there my whole life, and he was supposed to
When you
help
say he's
me.
never been there your whole life, meaning from when you were born?
Since I've been born, yes. I've met him at graduation, high school graduation. I'm now 26, and I barely reconnected with him. He contacted me through social networking, and that was very recently. And
Okay, so from the time you were born, you didn't see him until you were graduating from hie school?
Yes.
As far as she knows,
Hold on,
I have.
hold on. I'll let you talk, Dad. So you don't recall seeing your own father until you were 18?
Yes, that's correct.
Graduated from high school. And how much time went by before you saw him again?
8 years.
So you mean from the time you were in high school, your first time seeing him again is today?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you believe that you hadn't seen him all those years?
It just wasn't important for either of us. I mean, he was never there. I didn't need him before. I never needed him in between time.
So if you didn't need him then, why do you need his money now?
We had an agreement. It's like a roommate. If a roommate agrees to pay that much money, you sue them.
All right, so let's talk about the agreement. You had an understanding with your father, correct?
Yes.
What was the understanding?
That he would pay half of the rent for a 12-month lease.
12-month lease on an apartment, I take it?
A condo, yes.
A condo. And how much was the rent for the condo?
Well, it was $1,300.
So over the course of 12 months, we're talking $15,600. And so the understanding was, how much of that was he going to help you with?
$650 a month, so.
$650 a month. Got it. Now, one of the things that you said, Ms. Ramos, initially was, I didn't need him before, I didn't need him now. But you did need him.
I don't really need him. I've been paying for the apartment, the condo myself.
But I'm saying at one point you obviously had a conversation about him helping you, so you found yourself in need of your father.
I guess.
All right. And is it a situation where just when you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, he doesn't come through? Is that what the issue is?
Well, yeah, I guess it's not about the money mostly. It's about trust. I wanted to see if I could trust him again, and I couldn't, obviously.
Dad, Mr. Ramos, let me hear your side of the story.
Yes, Your Honor. That it was true that we communicated via email and we discussed her getting another place, but I really was on the intention that she might be willing to come back to, maybe reconnect so she can be part of my family business.
Well, wait, I'm not quite following you. How long had the two of you been corresponding, Mr. Ramos?
Well, what actually happened with her was I was unaware of her at all for the first 3 years of her life.
For how many years?
Almost 3 years.
I'm 26 now.
Her mother.
Don't interrupt your father.
Her mother contacted me after she had several blood tests, and they were all negative, and I flew back. I flew to meet her the moment that I found out that I was her father.
So you met Miss Ramos when she was 3 years old?
Correct. And I had tried several times, many times, to be someone in her life, and her mother just made it impossible. She canceled plane tickets, 3 times on me.
So, but you end up seeing her at 18.
I came back to like her graduation to try to see her.
So the mother did, in fact, invite you to the graduation?
No, I found out through people that I know.
So you were able to find out through people that you knew that she was graduating from high school. You showed up.
Where she was going to be, basically.
Right.
What it came
so
out to.
then that means that you had the means of tracking her down even prior to that, correct?
Correct, but not able to see her. I could see her in a public place at the graduation, but I couldn't see her outside of that realm.
Okay, so now she's 18. You're in a public place. Did you continue to have a relationship with her?
At that point, she wanted no part to do with me, which I kind of understand based on what her mother had told her.
I'm talking about you. So at that point, you didn't have a relationship with her?
No, sir.
So how do we get to her being 18 and her saying she wants nothing to do with you, to you and your daughter talking about a condo? How do we get to the rent agreement?
I was really hoping that she'd be part of the restaurant business with us. Me and because I'm married now, and she has brothers she never has met. And what had happened was she was around 19. I had asked her, said, "Look, I'll fly you out here, come meet your other family," and she decided to take a trip to Bermuda instead. And it's at that point that I gave up and said, maybe when you're mature enough, you'll contact me and we could discuss something.
When America's Court returns.
She told you, I'm living in a situation in Los Angeles that's not safe. Would you help me? The question is, did you agree to help her?
And later.
I was confused, Your Honor, because I did rescue a cat, what I thought was her cat.
Ms. Smith, did you actually receive $500?
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court continues with the case of Ramos versus Ramos.
Who connected with who on a social networking site?
He connected with me.
You found her, so you took the time to find her on a social networking site to establish a relationship, yes?
Correct.
At that point, were you living in Los Angeles, ma'am?
Yes, I was living in a bad part neighborhood, but I was already in Los Angeles, already living out here, already established out here. I just wasn't in the best area.
And so what did you tell your dad?
I told him it wasn't even had anything to do about moving. I was just telling about my story. Like my car just got broken into and my house almost got broken into and it was just a really bad part of town. And he's like, well, I don't want you to be in danger, so I'm going to help you out a little bit. Like, what can I help you with? And I told him I need to move, but I can't afford it right now. And he said, well, I'll help you out.
I believe that you made an agreement with her. In fact, in your statement, you said, I quote, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. This is the statement that I remember you saying. When I told her I'd offer to help, I did it because I wanted to win her over. By your own testimony in your statement, sir, you admit that you were going to help her. So right now before this court, you are a sad excuse for a father. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff in this case for $7,800. That is the order.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $7,800.
If he tries to contact me again, I'll ignore him. And if he continues, I'll have to get a restraining order on him.
She's missing out a lot of good things, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of good things as well with her.
And coming up.
I wanted to ask about the pet, but I was more concerned about the money.
You're a good person. You just don't want to come off that money.
It's gone.
Closed captioning provided by